Had a chance recently to pick up two Japanese electric locos in Z gauge, both nicely detailed models, one by Rokuhan, which is the EF66, and one by PRMloco, which is the EF64. And while I've no intention of putting any catenary or overhead wires up on any of the layouts, this was a good chance to compare the two examples and see how they perform. The two examples I've picked up, the PRMloco one is the EF64. This is in the JRF blue and white livery, and once again comes packaged in their standard crystal case, fitted with the standard Z gauge rapido couplings that seem to be standard with most Japanese Z gauge models. The first thing that's immediately apparent is that the level of detailing and painting is much better than the rolling stock that I previously looked at. This is a very nice model in terms of stuff like that, and it's a good close run for its money with the Rokuhan one. The Rokuhan one is the EF66 in the early version livery. Again, beautifully detailed as most Rokuhan stuff is, and again in their standard case. This does come with some separately applied details that you can fit, and the big difference you spot between the two is that the instructions for the PRMloco one are purely in Japanese, whereas the Rokuhan ones are bilingual, one side's Japanese, one side's English, which gives you a clue what you're going to do with the horns and various bits to add. Having had Shasta the layout out at Derby Exhibition last weekend, I've set it up in the workshop for once to give the Japanese stock a good run for its money, giving them a decent length of layout to run on. This is actually set up at DC at the moment with 3 Märklin controllers, and the first thing you notice again is the sensitivity of Japanese models to the grey controllers. It's very difficult to get the voltage low enough to get a nice smooth start. Both models are powered on the 2 outer bogies, with the centre bogie being free running and with large amounts of side play to get it round the curves. Both seem to have sufficient haulage power for the normal sort of operations you can use on a model railway layout, and obviously both have sprung pantographs. On the test track on the standard Märklin controller, we can see straight away that the starting speed's quite high. Adding a simple dropper resistor into the circuit between the controller and the track does give it a much more plausible starting speed and better low speed control. On Brooklyn's layout, the Alpine layout, which I use as a test track for the really tight curves, the first thing that becomes apparent is that the Rokuhan tracks the really tight bit here very, very nicely. The PRMloco one just jams up solid. Attempting to run any faster through it just ends up with the leading bogie derailing. So between them, PRMloco and Rokuhan have produced two quite comparable models. The Rokuhan has the edge in terms of negotiating difficult track tight curves. The PRMloco one is, I say, a revelation compared to the quality of the rolling stock that they produce. Both available in a variety of different liveries. The Rokuhan one's very easy to get hold of, the PRMloco one's getting harder and harder. But we normally pick them up in the UK for about £65, which is very good value for money.